Neil Crowther is Human Rights Programme Director at the Equality and Human Rights Commission, which has produced this report. Is in our central London studio now. Good afternoon to you, Neil. Look, it's really easy to point the finger of blame at the carers themselves, but do you think that the state has to take responsibility for this, providing more resources, more money and more carers?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the state is ultimately responsible to protect people's human rights. Look, as your film said, there are many people up and down the country that receive very good care from respectful, committed care workers. But there are numbers of people that we've reported to our inquiry that seem to be experiencing a situation where care workers have too much work to do with too little time to deliver it, are sometimes not trained and ill-prepared, and that is putting human rights at risk.
Do you think the increasing elderly population is having an effect on the care system?
Yes, I mean, we're getting older as a society. Many more people require care and support. And of course, that's happening at the same time as the programme of deficit reduction and the impact that is having on the capacity of local councils to spend money on social care. So there are some real challenges there in the system that we need to address.
Do you, I'm going to be blunt about this, it's a blunt question, did you come across cases of sheer neglect by carers, or is it just a case of there not being enough carers and not enough time to do a good enough job?
I think the majority of things we have come across are a product of the very restricted time available to kind of care workers. You know, if people are having to deliver packages of care in 15-minute slots, half-an-hour slots, there's obviously a kind of risk in there that things will be missed. But we did also find things which suggest some poor attitudes to older people and poor respect for human rights. For example, a case of an elderly man who needed help to get dressed and undressed, and that was happening in front of his bungalow window rather than in a private space. These seem to be more behavioural issues. Again, neglect rather than deliberate abuse, but neglect nonetheless.
OK, Peter Hay from the Association of Adult Social Services has pointed out that this is an interim report. I think it's November, isn't it? The full report comes out. And he says that you're only looking at complaints. So inevitably it emphasises problems rather than the good care that can be found across the system. Do you agree with that?
I think today we've highlighted what we believe to be some very serious problems, and I think it's critically important that we raise those. But in fact, we are also looking at good practice, and we found good practice. We found care agencies that recruit people deliberately on the basis of their positive attitudes to older people. We've also found other care agencies that ensure that all their workers go through 40 hours of training, including role play about how to interact with older people before they're allowed to go into the field. So we are collecting good practice, and we certainly will include that in our final report. We want to look at the art of the possible, not just the problems in the system. OK, Neil Crowther from the Equality and Human Rights Commission, many thanks for your time. Thank you.